What's up, comic fam, and welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark, and we got a great show for you lined up, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome back. And if you haven't already, or if you're new to the channel, be sure to like and subscribe. We do have a 200 subscriber giveaway going on right now. Just go onto the channel and check out our last video. It's big blue image. It says 200 subscriber giveaway. All you have to do to enter is like that video, leave a comment, and make sure you're subscribed. You do have to be a subscriber to win. And we have two separate giveaways we're doing for this. And the first place prize winner can pick either of the two. We have the Batman 100 Designer 1 in 25 variant, celebrating Batman there. And then the other one is a huge Draken Power Ranger pack. We have Draken New Dawn issues 1 through 3, and that's all three of these B covers, these nice foil Goni Montez books, as well as a Mighty Morphin issue number 1 in 25 variant, which Brent is the owner of that book. But I do have the local comic shop day foil one to show you what it looks like. It is the non-foil one of these, and it was the 1 in 25 variant. So we have two prizes going for 200 subscriber giveaway. We're very excited. As you can see from the little ticker, all you have to do is like, subscribe, and comment on that 200 subscriber video, and you're automatically in the running for it. And so let's get right into the show. Brent is on nights again for the foreseeable future, but we do have a good friend of mine from Instagram on here. He also is a fellow YouTuber. He's got a great comic channel. Let's get him in here so he can tell you about it. It's Chris from the Comics Lounge. What's going on, Chris?
Oh, same thing, different day.
Yeah. Tell everyone where they can find you real quick.
So we're on Instagram, the Comics Lounge 1, and then you can also find us on YouTube at the Comics Lounge. And right now we're just trying to hit our 250 subscriber giveaway mark. We're at about 180. Been doing this since just after COVID lockdown started, so it's been fun. Just love talking comics.
Dude, connecting with everybody in the community has been a blast for me. I don't have a lot of friends locally that I can just sit down and just geek out with, but I've found that there's so many and it's such a welcoming community, dude. It's fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing how the comics community just kind of comes together whenever something happens. We can all just kind of talk together about comics. And it doesn't even matter if you're a Valiant, Image, DC, Marvel. You might get a little bit of crap for being one or the other, but at the end of the day, we all kind of love each other and we talk about it. And it's fun. And one of our loungers actually said, he's like, the only two things that brings together people like comics is alcohol and comics. Only two things that can bring people together like this.
Yeah. And speaking of those people, those comic book community people, let's say hey to everyone in the chat real quick. Let's see, we have Adrian, Panda Awesome 316. What's going on, man? He just had his little live Sunday night hangout tonight. We have Cage the Mick. Those are really awesome Power Ranger covers. All those Montez ones
yeah,
are.
they are.
And yeah, I bought doubles of all of them when they came out. I can't get to my regular local comic shop on Wednesdays, and I couldn't wait to read the Power Ranger one. So I always grabbed a second foil because they tend to get a little scratched up in those diamond shippings. DJ Link's in the house. What's happening, man?
What's up, DJ?
We got Steve from Burke Family 54 Comics. Yes, it is in fact Morphin time, especially for our giveaway. And we have Kidrano Prince, the maker of these fine 3D custom stands that are hand painted and weighted, and they can hold slabs raw or top loaders. Fantastic. You can find that man on Instagram. And we have the notorious Ruby G, Ruben Guzman. What's happening? Thank you, Burke. Yeah, it was at 2:29 when I started the video, and I think the Squatchy guy, the artist that I just saw in Southern Comics Geek, I was talking to him on Instagram right before the stream. I think he just subbed, so I made it 2:30. His artwork is insane. I don't want to mispronounce his name. I wasn't really aware of him. I just saw what Jason from Southern Comics Geek had him do, that crazy Last Ronin cover. It was fantastic. Yeah, Squatchy Comics on Instagram. Fantastic artist. Check him out.
Will do, definitely. Love those artists. What's up, Burke family?
Steve saying what's up. That was a little quick, wasn't it, DJ? I don't know why. I put in a lot of work reaching out to people. I don't know. Again, I just like to talk too and talk about comics. So someone follows me on Instagram. Next thing you know, we're talking all day long.
Oh, for sure. That's what we like to do too. Whenever someone starts following us, we send out a quick little welcome message, and then if they start talking back, we just continue that conversation.
Yeah.
We love hearing from you guys. It's one of the best parts about all of this.
So, man, I do want to say I think that when it comes to comics, me and you are very similar. That we love comics, but when it comes to comics we read, I think me and you are very, very different. You're
Definitely.
which has become so useful to me because I'm not Marvel heavy, and DJ Links was actually on an interview on this guy's channel, Small Time Collectibles, and he made this comment. It really hit me in the feels. He was talking to DJ Links, and he said that he thinks that he hit a point where he aged out of Marvel, and there's nothing wrong with that. He just doesn't find the same enjoyment into it, and he said that that's okay because they're writing for a newer audience and a younger audience, and he just isn't that person. But he finds plenty of happiness and interest in other books, and I think with a lot of stuff with Marvel, that's where I'm at. I think I'm just so far out of the loop that it's hard for me to get back in the loop. So luckily there you are with your channel because I'm totally interested in all this Venom stuff, but not nearly enough to want to go spend the money to buy it. I'm such a completist that I want every tie-in for stuff. I want to know all the details. And I've been following your King in Black weekly stuff, which has been awesome.
Hey, buddy.
He's in his fresh Power Ranger jammies.
Very cool. That's amazing. Yeah, Venom was actually one of the first slabs I ever got. So this was my very first slab. And
which one is that?
It's Venom 4. And I'm a huge Miles Morales fan. I got into comics pretty much the year after Ultimate Fallout 4 came out. And basically, I've been kicking myself ever since because it took me about 3 years after that to even figure out that Ultimate Fallout 4 was a thing. So while it was gaining traction,
what is that?
Exactly. And the amount of times that I heard Fallout and I immediately thought the video game, I was like, I hated that game. I would never read that comic. And then someone goes, no, that's the Miles comic. And I'm like, what do you mean the Miles comic? And my buddy Dan, who's another lounger, he's like, no, that's like the comic that started everything with Miles. And right now on Go Collect, it's fair market value is about $1,200, and he's got 3 9.8s.
It's not bad. Like, not bad.
That's amazing. Exactly.
Yeah. I gotta be my biggest foray into Miles Morales was a little bit of comics here and there, like just his presence in like Civil War II and stuff like that. Because I picked that up for the Hulk angle, you know, the track from Mortal Hulk back to Civil War II. But really just Into the Spider-Verse, which I think was hands down like one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made.
Definitely.
Period. Yep. It was amazing.
And honestly, it's one of the best Spider-Man movies, and it's one of the best animated superhero movies because I honestly feel like they finally tapped into that idea of having comics be a comic-driven movie. And I like the different I can't think of what that art style is where it's like all the little dots. I love seeing that on the big screen.
They're called Bend-Aid dots.
Yes. Okay.
The old comic styles and everything.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I love seeing it on the big screen. I loved the music for it. Everything about fantastic. It was phenomenal. Yeah, definitely.
Even Miles in character in the movie acknowledged that. He would put his headphones on and get into his little mode. But Adrian over at Pandawesome 316 just got his UF4 9.8. He had a 9.4, I believe, and he sent it off to Eric from Instagram. It's comicbook_pressing on Instagram, and he cleaned and pressed that bad boy into a 9.8.
That's the way to do it. That's actually so. This X-Men 4 slab that we're doing a raffle on right now. This I sent off to a local comic presser. He says it straight up, and this video will be on our YouTube channel very, very soon. I've been in the editing process of it for probably about 2-3 weeks now. And honestly, my comic book, my shop owner said that's probably a 9.2, 9.4. I would definitely clean and press it. and see what it comes back as. I also have the X-Men 5. I'm thinking about sending that off to clean and press that and do that as a giveaway, possibly, depending on what it comes back as. But when that came back in 9.8, I'm not an X-Men fan. Always loved the movies, and I know a lot of people will say that they sucked, but I mean, that's what I grew up on. I was a kid when they started coming out, and everything's better when you're 10 years old. Let's just be real. The original trilogy of Star Wars, I've rewatched it. I've found like little quirks with it, but it was phenomenal when it came out. I had no issues with Jar Jar Binks when it came out. And
I didn't. Looking back on it, he's a little odd, but just seeing that the entire Republic was handed over to the Empire by that guy. That was rough.
But it was amazing to see that I had this in my collection. My dad is a huge X-Men fan, but of course he doesn't care for having the comics anymore. That's not what he's into. So when I showed it to him, he goes, "So how much is that worth? What are you going to try to get out of it?" And I said, "Well, it's going up and up in value, and then it drops back down, and then it goes. It's so crazy right now with the fluctuation of Winter Soldier." And so
the
Bucky,
Disney Plus show, right?
Yeah, Winter Soldier, Falcon, or Falcon Winter Soldier, whatever they're naming it. In February, it was actually up to $300, and then it dropped right back down to $130 when COVID happened, because people just stopped paying that price for it.
COVID has really shook up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's a lot of stuff, because me, I'm a big DC guy. I think a lot of stuff that's gone on with DC recently, with books that are coming out, the shakeups they have, a lot of it has been COVID-based stuff. I don't know if you read Three Jokers or not, but I feel like that's like the perfect example of a book that took a COVID crash, like from what it originally might have been intended to be 4 years ago, and what it is now.
Definitely. My wife actually picked up those books and she loved them, every minute of them. She loved the covers. She loved, she got that Red Hood, Joker and Batgirl cover for 1, 2, and 3. And I've thought about slabbing those just so that way she could have those really nice slabs. That one. Yep.
Yeah, this is actually a second copy. Justin from Justin Comics, I don't know if you've seen his YouTube channel. He wanted to send one off to get CGC'd and signed at the Jeff Johns signing, but his had a little ding, so I'm going to send him a copy from here, I guess. I went out on a limb with him just because Joker's like my favorite villain, and I pre-ordered the entire 15 premium variant set. So I got all 15 of those, and then I got, of course, doubles of the cover A's because I wanted to read it as it came out. And then they did a second print for issue 1. So I ended up with like 19 copies of the same book. And it was a good story,
right? You know?
Yeah, for what it is, it wasn't bad. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse because I've talked about this book so often on here. But for what it was, it wasn't bad. My expectations were in a different place, and I have no one to blame but myself for that. But Panda just subbed you up, and everybody in the chat, if you haven't already subbed up the Comics Loungers, check them out. And that's
help us hit that 250.
Comics Lounge, and he's got a really cool giveaway book for that, Mark, if I believe.
Yep.
I think didn't you show that?
We shared it a little bit. It's one of the ones from the Dark Knights Death Metal series. Very excited to be giving that book away. We're also going to be doing one at 500 where we're actually going to take one of those SLHA, if you've never heard of the Street Level Hero, and that Spider-Man booth, go check them out. They have some really awesome mystery boxes. It does take a while for that stuff to come in, but it is what it is. But we're going to fill that up with comics and just send it off. So that's going to be our 500 subscriber. And then when we hit that 1,000, we're going to be giving away a slab. So we're very excited. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that I did, DJ. I went back and just started. I have tons and tons of trade paperbacks. I'm a huge trade paperback reader. Love them to death. And just sitting down and reading a whole story. And dude, comics have been around since 1938. There is an unlimited well of comics to read, and there's so much good stuff out there. And I just go back and just, I don't know, I'll watch like Comic Tropes, and he'll just spotlight a certain artist and some of the stuff that they've done, and there'll be books of theirs that he's spotlighting that I had never heard of or hadn't read, and I'll go back and find them for super cheap and just have a ball with those back issues. What's up, Shattered Glass Comic Reviews?
Hey, Shattered.
Boom.
DJ, that's what I like to do too, is just go back and collect stuff that I missed out on. The key is making sure that you collect it before it becomes hot. One of the ones that thank you, Burke family, for subbing us too. One of the ones that I actually jumped on too late was the current Thor run.
Me too. And now Black Winter's about to be making a comeback or something.
Oh, for sure. I hope so. That would be amazing if he makes a comeback.
Didn't you just get that one back slabbed?
Yeah, it came back at a 9.82. That's sitting downstairs in the basement waiting. Yeah.
That's a beautiful cover too. I love like the red and the blue with a black background on it. It is a gorgeous cover.
With the glowing hammer and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I've been debating holding on to it. I would
sucks
love
is
to
when
sell
a key
it, but
book. Yeah, you might want to hold on to that one for a while.
Yeah.
But it sucks when a key book has a crappy cover.
Yeah.
That's like the worst. I'd rather have a crappy book with a beautiful cover.
Definitely.
I don't really sell anything. I just, I need to. I really do need to like at least try to fund the hobby a little bit with the hobby, but I don't know. It seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I keep everything on Venmo, and then just whenever I buy, I move money into my account from Venmo, and then when I sell, it comes back into Venmo, and it's just nice to see it go up and down and up and down.
I'll pray for you, Steve. Just got done eating some Chipotle. You got another sub from Shatterglass Comics Review, and he's 50% of the Whack Comics group. I don't know if you've checked out Whack Comics YouTube channel.
I have not yet. I definitely will.
Dude, they do some fun content. Shattered and Whack, dude, there are some fun guys to watch.
That's awesome.
What's going on, Bearded Comic Bro? If you haven't already, check out Chris at the Comics Lounge. Sub him up. He's working his way to pass that 200 subscriber mark. Yeah, that's not debatable. I think that's a fact. Worst cover, first appearance has to be Rogue with that annual. Oof. I do think that the annual for Gambit with Ahab on the cover is a really sick cover though. I like that cover a lot. I don't mind a busy cover, but it's just weird how they did the one with Rogue with all the little square boxes and everything. I like George Perez a lot, so I like really busy covers.
Yeah. I have to say one of my favorite cover artists right now is Delgado. Or Delgado. I think
Delgado.
Yeah, Delgado.
Gabriel Delgado. I just got his Green Ranger Power Ranger in.
So I got, when I first started collecting current issues, so I started collecting trades, and my very first trade was actually Green Arrow and Moon Knight.
Which series?
Year one. So it was a phenomenal book. I picked it up at Forbidden Planet in New York City, and then on the train ride from New York to Rhode Island, which was like a 2-hour train ride, if that, I probably read Green Arrow twice and Moon Knight 3 times and just fell in love with both characters. I had been watching the Green Arrow show for God only knows how long at that point, and while a lot of people did not like it past season 5, I needed to finish it out.
I wrote it out a little bit.
And a lot of people I know stopped at like season 3, season 4. So, I mean, the fact that I made it to season 5 and then wanted to keep going, and now watching it again. You deserve an award.
You deserve a badge for that.
Now watching it again and seeing where they went with it in the very last second to last season, where they started to go into the future, I was just like, now we're kind of grasping for straws. Thanks, Bearded Comic. Really appreciate it. Make sure you go watch some of our videos. We love talking comics just like this. I'm not the only lounger.
And if you're not following or picking up the King in Black storyline, you can go ahead and give Chris a big thank you, because he is picking it up and he does an awesome page-by-page walkthrough every week. I think he drops them on Wednesdays, don't you? So you don't even have to
around
Wednesday
there,
or Thursday. Yeah, you don't even have to wait to find out. You don't have to go online and try to wiki read what it was about. Check it out. Watch him read it, and he's not sitting there just going through all these dead panels. He's already read it, so he's just flipping through panel by panel, explaining to you what happened, hitting the important dialogue. So I'm already 2 issues in on King in Black, and I haven't picked up a single issue. I'm still waiting on something to happen, though.
And honestly, the King in Black series truly has not started yet. It's like the preludes to it, and I'm already hype about it. it's those two issues have just been so content heavy that it's like, how are they going to fit all of this into this 3-month span? Like,
they're going to bombard you with a 50 book crossover event, which I can't say anything. I read death metal. I read all of death metal. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just what they do. I mean, it kind of gives you the ability to dive in as deep as you want to. If you want to immerse yourself in it, if you can't get enough of it, it's there, and not all of it is going to be an absolute must read every time. And I think death metal is the first time I've seen that happen, where every single tie-in issue might as well have just been an actual issue number. It should have just been like a 24 issue run. But so you can kind of just choose your participation level.
Yeah.
And what's going on, Bart? This is like one of my best friends. We never even met in person. We became friends on a Facebook group, Power Rangers closed Facebook group. And now we like talk every day about comics and everything. And he collects a lot of Ranger stuff too. He's got like the most impressive statue collection I've ever seen in my life. Good dude. He's up way past his bedtime because he's all the way in Belgium. That's a huge time
What's
difference.
up, Bart? How's it going?
Good dude. But there was some
That's
good
awesome.
stuff that came out this week, some promising stuff, and kind of go through some of the stuff. It was local comic shop day this past week.
Yeah.
Which it seems like this one hit a lot different than ones in the past did. I think it was the foil madness, which I'm not mad at. I love foil covers. I'm like a goblin, I like shiny things.
Yep.
But in previous years, I was upset because Boom put out a Power Ranger blind box, a big $100 box with exclusive stuff in it and whatnot. They didn't do that this year, but
okay.
There was some cool stuff. For me, the only things that I ended up picking up was the Mighty Morphin #1, that Montez foil.
That's a slick.
And
it's such a stick cover. Love it.
I do. I love it, man. His artwork is really cool, and I feel like it kind of starting to shine on this. He did all those helmet variants, which was very restricted because if you look at his art stuff, it looks a lot more like this kind of style. And I don't like this book at all. I just got it because it's Power Rangers and it was supporting my shop. It's that Peach Momoko Red Ranger variant. I'm not a Peach fan.
Really?
Not at all.
Okay.
Like it was the best feeling in the world when I gave away the Speed Metal Peach variant as a giveaway because it got it out of my house. So now I have to figure out what to do with this one.
Yeah.
And
no,
then
I'd like some of Peach's stuff, that more like anime type that she does. But when she does, because I have one of hers that's phenomenal, and then I have another one that I'm just not a huge fan of. I don't know.
Dude, I don't like the Knoll one that they're doing with his legs spread. He's sitting on a throne. It has like his outfit draped between his legs. It looks like there's a Simba scrote between his legs. It's very weird. But Kid Rano wants to know how that Thor keychains holder how's the Thor keychain holder Comics Lounge?
Oh, I love it. I actually hang it up on my keys at work, or hang up my keys on it every day at work. That's where I ended up putting it. It's right on my desk.
And Comic Vet, if anyone hasn't already, check out his YouTube channel as well. He's started one not long ago. Awesome guy. He's one of our neighbors in Canada up there.
Okay. And, what's up, Comic Vet?
I had it on my list and it didn't go in my box. I talked to him ahead of time and asked for that and the 2 Power Rangers books, and it didn't make it to my box. I'm not really sweating it. I'll end up going back and getting it. If it didn't make it in my box, I was probably just too late asking for it. He probably already had all the orders in. And one thing I do not do is give my LCS a hard time because they're the best people in the world and they've kind of known me since I was a little kid. And on that note, shameless plug time, because I'm really good at shameless plugging. I would like to thank the Augusta Book Exchange for all my books that I have this week that I'm showing off and the books I pick up next week. Paul and Donna are fantastic. You can find them on Facebook. They don't do Instagram and all that crazy stuff, but it's a great shop. If you're ever in town, check them out.
You always got to go support those local comic shops.
On that note, did you get this?
I did not. My shop was out of it by the time I got to it. I was
This
so
is the
upset.
coolest thing that ever came out of local comic shop day. And when I'll go Tuesday to my LCS. I'm off every Tuesday. That's when I go to pick up my DC books.
Okay.
And if they have any left, I'll grab you one, man. Because it's
Sounds
awesome.
good.
These are all the comic shops that participated in the event. But you take it out of the bag and boom.
Mine is actually on the back somewhere. Rhino's Comics. All of the ones from Rochester, New York are back there. And it's amazing. Mine. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I can't believe that Spawn did that, and to say that that's like probably one of the nicest things they've ever done and one of the
So
coolest
cool.
things they've ever done. It's amazing. So with that being said, if you have that book, go check out Clear Comic Boards. We're going to be doing a video on them very, very soon. Their boards are kind of on the flimsier side than a cardboard, obviously, but it's truly amazing how beautiful that book looks, being able to see the front and the back covers. So I've got a few of those Immortal variants from, I want to say 2018. And to be able to see the front and the back is just beautiful. I wish I haven't put it in there yet. I put it on a different one right now, but I'm going to pull my Immortal variant out and put it in that one because I want to be able to pull that one out and see both sides.
Yeah. Go
Especially
back
for
on this real
variants,
quick.
too.
Panda passed on the Peach. Did you like the Peach Batman 100? Absolutely not. The Remoco 4 reminds me of some Yu-Gi. I think it's supposed to say Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh
card.
card.
And Bart, you called it first, man. I'm adding it to your stack of books. You got it coming your way. And yes, this is the most accurate statement I've ever heard in my life. Peach is an acquired taste.
Oh, for sure.
What's going on, Robert? Flash6792. How are you and the fam doing, man? I hope y'all had an amazing first Thanksgiving with the little one.
Comic Vet. I'm gonna go back up to when you were talking about.
Yeah, it does look a little different, doesn't he?
I'm gonna go back to when you were talking about something is killing the children. So I was just talking to my buddy. He has not been to his local comic shop in 2 months because he just bought his mom's house and he's doing all this work to it and whatnot. So he's like, I just haven't had the time. I haven't had the time to take that 20-minute trip to my local comic shop in the past 2 months. I don't even want to see what my pull box looks like right now because it's probably like this wide, $1,000 worth of comics and whatnot. And I said to him, I was like, because he loves Image Comics. He is a huge Image Comics fan. Independent Comics, whatever. Southern Bastards, Walking Dead, all of that fun stuff. And I said to him, I was like, do you have Something is Killing the Children? And he goes, I love that book. I read it 3 times over because I honestly needed to read it. And then I ended up moving into my mom's house that I bought, and I haven't read any of the other issues. And I think they're on like issue 5 or 6 now. And I was like, dude, that book is like $300 right now if you CGC it. So he's really excited, but he's also like very timid because he knows what happened with my Thor 5. I sent it off when it was at $600 on eBay, and it's now at $130. And
that's like those local comic shop based Spider-Man books with the first virus. They were going crazy, and then you find out it's Scorpion, and they just tanked. Dude, the whole time that craze was going on, my LCS had plenty of stock of them. Like, they weren't charging for him at any point. He doesn't spec market anything, his ratio variance. Like, the first Robin King that's like super expensive now.
Yep.
Like, I paid cover price for that the day it came out. Like, he's just he just sells books and make his money that way. He's a good dude, real good dude.
Yeah, the only books that like get upcharged at my local comic shop are like those 1 in 50, 1 in 100 sketch variants, the ones that are like truly rare as can be.
Yeah,
and
like those 1 in 10, he might bump up a couple of dollars.
Yeah,
but he kind of, through a weird situation, he ended up with a lot of extra of those Robin King ones. So he just sold them for cover price to people local. And I even talked to a guy on this Facebook group with like tens of thousands of members in it. Hey, Finn, let's not turn the light out, buddy. And kind of shared it to that group that I picked my copy up, and they didn't believe that I paid cover price for it. So they called the shop, and Paul's like, yeah, I'm selling for cover price. And the dude's like, well, can you mail me one? He said, no, it's just people who come in the store want to help out the community. He's like, all right, well, can you at least hold me one? I'm going to drive. So he drove from North Carolina down to my LCS to pick one up and drove home all in one day. Yeah. So I hope that book never tanks for that guy's sake.
Yeah. For sure.
Because that was a gamble, man. It's just a character inside of an event.
Yeah. And I mean, so we were kind of talking like, is there such thing as a modern key? And like on the level of first Spider-Man and first Captain America, first Batman, is there any modern books that are ever going to get that big. And in all honesty, I think some might eventually, but not anytime soon.
I think that it would. Of course, you're going to get books that'll pick up steam, but you're always going to have the books that were 40 years older than them with more iconic characters. So there's always going to be a huge price difference between them. If not, the ones that pick up steam, the older ones will have picked up that age steam with them.
Yep.
That first Spider-Man 40 years from now, I can't even imagine what that colored piece of paper might be worth.
For sure. And I don't think there's ever been a single Amazing Fantasy 15 at a 9.8 that was just like brand, like, you know what I mean? That wasn't restored at all or anything like that.
Even going back to the Golden Age books, I'm trying to remember the name of the dude's collection out in Denver, Colorado that Chuck bought back in the day. It's like a pedigreed collection, but he had like the world's most famous collection at the time. And he had an Action Comics #1, and he refused to grade anything, but because it was where he lived in the altitude and the low humidity, the books were all like pristine.
Wow.
And I think like his was speculated to be like around an 8-something Action Comics #1.
That's crazy.
It just makes my stomach turn thinking about that. I would love to just to be able to go somewhere that has it on display.
Yep.
And just go look at some comic history like that. Like the Library of Congress has like original pages of like some of the greatest comic work, like the actual large scale pages.
Yeah.
I think they have like some Spider-Man pages and stuff like that. I think that would be cool to go see.
Comic Vet, I definitely think that first Harley and Miles and Deadpool might get up there. Deadpool would be interesting to see how that does in 10, 15, 20 years. Same with Harley. Miles, I think we're a long way off from that because I think that book's only like 5 to 7 years old now. I don't think it's really, I think it was 2013, 2014 that Ultimate Fallout came out.
I think X-Men's going to take another big jump upward. For years and years, that was like Marvel's biggest and baddest thing they had going. X-Men was just loved universally worldwide. That was their most iconic characters. And it's kind of changed a little bit. And now that Marvel has a hold of those characters again to start using in movies, I think that's really where the future of the MCU is going to be, is rolling out and introducing the mutants, which I'm super thankful that I scored my 181 before we see a new iteration of Wolverine for the next 10 years on the big screen.
Yeah, definitely.
That would have been impossible to get.
It'll be interesting to see not only who they choose for Wolverine. We talked about this on the channel probably about 2 months ago now, that if we could choose an actor, it would be someone who's a no-name. The same way that Hugh Jackman was when he started Wolverine. Nobody knew who he was. I mean, it was one of those actors that were just, he started on Broadway.
Yeah. Like, he's fantastic. Dude, The Greatest Showman's one of the most enjoyable movies I've ever watched.
Definitely. I honestly
fantastic.
We were 30 seconds into that movie in the theater, and I said, we need to get this soundtrack when it comes out.
My son loves it, dude. It was just one of those ones that my mom kept telling me I should watch. And I don't mind musicals at all. I enjoy them. Like Hamilton was fantastic. I cried twice in Hamilton. That was an amazing movie or amazing performance. But my son sits there and does that little opening scene where you hear the thump, clap, clap. As soon as it comes on, he stops and he'll just stomp his foot all uncoordinated like, and then jump up and down. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great movie.
Definitely. It's so much fun to watch.
It is. So what are some of the books you picked up for this week? This is my small week that I had.
So I did not get that many books this week. I was thinking about getting Dr. Doom #9. Not sure if you're a Dr. Doom fan. I did not pick it up yet. I wasn't a huge fan of where they've been taking that, so I've been kind of on the fence about it. Want to see how well it does in the marketplace and whatnot. I picked up Shang-Chi #3. I love that book. That was a fun read. I'm really only picking that one up to get into it for the movie that's coming out with him. I had never really heard of him before. And then I actually got one of his books in a mystery box that I had bought. So I was very excited. I think it's Shang-Chi #30 or Master of Kung Fu number like 35. It's not in great shape, and it's really not worth much. I think it's worth maybe $2-3. But it'll be very interesting to see how much it might be worth down the line. And then it's one of those books I'm just going to kind of follow and probably sell at some point, because if it doesn't fit my collection, I don't hang on to it. If it's one of those ones that are given to me, or I end up finding in a bigger collection, or it's in a mystery box, I usually give it away to someone who really enjoys it, or try to sell it off if it's worth it. So like that 9-8 X-Men that I'm auctioning, that was one of those ones that I got in a mystery box from the comic traders. And since I'm not a huge X-Men fan, I sent it off and it came back. I was going to do a giveaway on it, but we didn't reach that 1,000 like I was hoping that quickly. Obviously, it takes a ton of time, but it is what it is. But yeah, so the other one that I did pick up this week that I was very happy that I picked up was Amazing Spider-Man 53 LR. Those
Last Remains
books. Yeah. So
who was the villain in that?
So you have Kindred, who's like that main villain, and then you've
Osborn
also
character.
Yes. So that's Harry Osborn. He's the main villain, but then the 53.LR follows the other characters and not Spider-Man. And it's amazing to see like these two different sides of this big battle between Kindred and Spider-Man in the main series, and then you've got Osborn and the other Spider people kind of battling it out in the other mini series that's kind of happening at the same exact time.
What's going on, Brent?
How's it going, Brent?
That he's unfortunately stuck at work on night shifts now. Hey, Brent, look at what Bart said.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Do I look better than Brent? Worse than Brent?
I don't think it's a thing. Bart's hilarious. Good dude. So what is Harry's? Where's he been until this series?
Pretty much the way that I understand it, because it's kind of, they're being very mysterious about it. Basically, he didn't die back in, I think it was Spider-Man like 600 or something, back in that series. He didn't actually die. Norman has been kind of trying to bring him back and save him, and Harry's just kind of been stewing and being like this bug in Peter's ear, trying to basically, for lack of a better term, piss him off. And he's been giving Peter these horrible nightmares and whatnot, and it's all led up to this whole Last Remains saga. And honestly, the Kindred character, the fact that it took them 50 issues to even reveal who it was phenomenal. It's one of the slowest buildups, but also at the same time, everything kind of ties in together. And that's what I love. I love when a book is so much more than just one book. It makes it so much more fun to read, and you're really just trying to get to the end, and you're trying to figure out, okay, who is this character that they keep mentioning over and over again? And on top of that, then you've got Sin Eater in this whole different realm than he ever was originally, trying to cleanse people and whatnot. And he ends up cleansing Norman Osborn of all of his sins, and there's a whole offshoot.
What does it mean for him to cleanse somebody?
Basically,
I'm not familiar with this character.
So he pretty much, in this saga, shoots them, and they're cleansed of all their sins, and they kind of come back to life. And Kindred was basically using him to get to Spider-Man and build an army, and then all of these Sin Eaters kind of take over the Spider people, the web of Spider-Man and whatnot. And so Spider-Man's kind of dealing with Miles being this demonic version of himself, Spider-Gwen being that same demonic version of herself, Silk, Madam Web we haven't seen since 850, and we're trying to figure out where she's at. It's amazing to kind of see all these intricacies going into this one. I think it's going to be 5 or 6 issues when it all comes down to it. And then if you add in the LR series, the mini series on top of it, it's like a 10-issue series.
That's not
amazing.
Bad. Yeah. That's like a manageable number.
Definitely. And I mean, it's all it's
I
all
like that it's all
happening every
self-contained
other
in
week.
Spider-Man too.
Yep.
So
And I
you
mean,
got
Spider-Man's what I
Spider-Man.
grew up on.
Yeah, I haven't picked up Spider-Man regularly. I've like my first job was at one of my LCSs, and when I was working there, they had the Evolve or Die storyline go on, and this wasn't long after the movie came out where they wanted to take Spider-Man in the comics and kind of get him to the Spider-Man that people were seeing on the screen. So
Yeah.
they did the. Did you read Life Story, the Spider-Man
Yep.
Life Story that came out? Remember when that vampire-esque dude came to get him? It was the book that came from, and it was a
Okay.
12-issue story, and basically Peter gets beat to death, but they finds out that he kind of this weird thing where he cocoons himself under the Brooklyn Bridge and comes out stronger, more agile. He has the ability to shoot web out of his wrists, like in the Sam Raimi movies.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, you had Civil War happen, and I have all the issues where he got the Spider-Man outfit and all that. And then I pretty much stopped reading Spider-Man for a while. I kind of just lost the taste for it, and haven't picked it back up since from any kind of monthly title or anything.
Yeah.
I kind of go with ebbs and flows what I read, and it seems like just these days it's just DC and indies for the most part. But Marvel wise, I've been picking up all the Alex Ross stuff that's been coming out. You know, he has numerous projects out. He just finished Marvel X, which was the prequel to Earth X, and dude, that was one of the best payoffs to the end of a short series I've ever read. Normally, this stuff kind of builds up and gets your expectations up, and they don't necessarily fill it. This one was just as yes, dude. It was a smooth burn the whole time. Then the end of it, dude, I was ready to throw the book up in the air like, what? Those are such a cool little reveal on the main character you're following and everything. And this is a spoiler-filled kind of show, but I'm not going to spoil that. I just suggest if anyone has not read it, you need to read Earth X that was done back in the 90s and then go pick up Marvel's X. It'll blow your mind. And of course, I pick up all things Hulk. So I did get, and I say Maestro, but that's just because I read Future Imperfect when I was like 7 years old. And that's how I pronounce it. It just stuck with me. I know it's Maestro.
Yeah.
But a big shout out to the comics vet for pointing that out to me. That guy's awesome. Those
are amazing books.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it. I was kind of reluctant when they kind of just like pushed him into the role really quick. There wasn't a lot of like background buildup or anything.
Yeah.
But this fight with Hercules was really cool, and this variant cover was very deceptive because Hercules drugged him, like absolutely drugged him. This is not Savage Hulk. This is not Immortal Hulk. This is not Devil Hulk. It's basically Banner Hulk. So Hercules drugged him. So he left and acted like he was being all submissive, and he came back with a vapor from the UFOs and let her kill him. And it was awesome. It was really cool. Like that little cunningness. Loved it. And then the only other Marvel book I picked up was the end of this god-awful short story, Fantastic Four Antithesis. I picked it up because Neil Adams was on it. I love Neil Adams.
I picked up issue 1 only because my LCS thought that because I wanted the Silver Surfer variant for issue 2, that meant I wanted issue 1. And I was like, you know what? I'll read it. I'll see. I'll read it. I'll see what it's about and whatnot. And I couldn't get into it. So obviously when I actually picked up 2 of the Silver Surfer Alex Ross covers because I love Silver Surfer. I'm a huge fan of him. But honestly, I couldn't get into it. And he put 3 in my pull box, and I was like, I can't. I'm done with this series. It wasn't what I was expecting, and I'm done with it.
Issue 1 wasn't absolutely bad to me. It seemed very classically whimsical at the start of it, and I was intrigued by the idea of what's going on with surfers. Same here. That's what drew me into it, was the surfer aspect.
Yeah.
And then issue 2, I'm like, okay, this is kind of an odd direction. And by issue 3, I'm like, this is probably the worst short story I've read so far. When does it end? So I looked, I'm like, there's only one more issue. Cool. I'll get that last issue. And again, I got to see it through. No, I have no hopes of that. I'm not going to not read the last issue, you know?
Yep.
I'm not going to not watch Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2. I've seen the rest of them. I've got to watch the last one.
Definitely. My wife tried to get me to watch the first one. I was like, really? That's what we're going to
watch? I'll shamelessly admit, I don't think they're good movies, but I don't have a bad time watching them. I can watch them with my wife. I like the chick that sings the song for it, that 1,000 Years, that Catherine Perry. She
Okay.
is a fantastic musician. I
Yeah.
think that's just what I hold on to. Secret crush of mine. My wife's aware of it. We're good. We could talk about it. But what else did you pick up? I know you're a big Marvel guy.
So I also picked up not Marvel, Flash 766.
Ugh.
Haven't read it yet. See, you say that, but I love the Flash pretty much ever since I started watching the TV show, and I always loved the Flash in the Justice League animated TV show, and I always thought that he got a bad rap and whatnot. And it was nice, the whole like ring thing with alchemy and whatnot. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue reading it just because I wasn't a huge fan with 76 or 765. But the Lee In Hook, I want to say is his name.
In Huck Lee
Yeah.
variants.
I love his variants, so that's why I've been picking most of them up.
Well, I was just saying about like Flash as the first casualty of what's coming with DC.
Yeah.
Not the character, the actual book from actual behind the scenes stuff. We have Future State coming January, February across the board, taking over all their titles. So kind of, and Flash 762 is the end of Williamson's run on Flash, where you have like that amazing run.
Yep.
So right now you're just kind of getting filler stories, that actually aren't really trying to push a main narrative. So I just like Justin Comics reads it, Burke Family 54 reads it, new guy Ryan reads it, and they're all like suffering from coming out of this epic Williamson run and now being hit in the face with filler issues. They just weren't quite ready for that.
Yep. No, I hear
But
you.
I would say hang in there though, definitely, because I think Future State's going to have some interesting stuff with Wally West being like a time wraith, the whole Flash family not having their powers, and it looks like you have a double amputee with like those little kangaroo like prosthetics, those little they have like metal bow joint kind of things like you've seen like track runners run. It looks like that's going to be like a Flash that's on the Justice League team for Future State. So there's some cool stuff. It looks like wild looking. Yeah, here's an image of it.
So, and then I was hoping, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
I love that cover.
Mm-hmm.
And Superman is not one of the ones that I ever have gotten behind. I've always thought that he was overpowered, so I always kind of steered away from his stuff. But I can't read his comics. I don't know what it is. I've never been a fan of the way that he's been written in movies or in comics.
Did you enjoy the Zack Snyder portrayal of him? Kind of.
So I liked
Cavill.
Man of Steel. I liked Henry Cavill and the way that he played him. I have always kind of felt that no matter who plays Superman, they're never able to live up to how powerful Superman truly is. Like it's a very tough character to play. And honestly, I think Henry Cavill's probably been the best Superman in the last out of pretty much any of them. And
I would have to definitely go with my boy Chris up here.
And definitely
he did fantastic. He did
he's
a great
done
job
pretty well too. Or he did really well too.
I think Henry Cavill did a good job of making the character his own, but definitely kind of bringing. You can tell that he'd seen the other Superman movies when he played that role. He wasn't like Brandon Routh in Superman Returns, just trying to play Chris Reeve playing Superman. But yeah, I think that's a difficult character because he's so iconic. It's not necessarily just the character itself, but what all it embodies and what all it comes with. There's some loaded shoes to fill because every individual person on this planet knows who that character is, and they have their own idea of what is the perfect iconic superhero, in my opinion, and that's what Superman is for them. That's what he's supposed to be. So that's definitely not an easy role to fill. And I screamed out loud the S word when I was in the theater for the midnight release of Man of Steel. I had my oldest daughter sitting there with me, and at this point it was late. She was in my lap, half asleep. And when he snapped Zod's neck, I screamed. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that, but I also was not a huge fan of how quickly they did the Death of Superman storyline. I didn't like that. I thought that was way too soon, that there wasn't enough buildup for him to die, that he basically had a movie, was in a second movie, died, and then got brought back. And
Yeah.
It just wasn't enough.
DC had big plans that they couldn't really fulfill, and I hope to God you hold out hope for the Snyder cut, because I've been all in on Zack Snyder since his remake of Dawn of the Dead. I thought
Hmm.
that was just brilliant, and then he did 300, and that blew my mind. And I enjoyed Sucker Punch. I highly recommend, if you're going to watch Sucker Punch, go get it on disc where you can get the extended cut,
Okay.
because the Warner Brothers, they've been chopping up movies that aren't even superhero movies for a long time. And you lose so much context on such a story in a story style movie. But that was amazing in my opinion. I even like the little animated owl movie he did for kids called Legends of the Guardians. Like I just enjoy Zack Snyder stuff, and I think that this Snyder cut is going to be epic.
I'm hoping, honestly, I would love to be able to just watch it and it be phenomenal. I want DC to truly have an amazing run, because they just, a lot of their movies have not lived up to how great their characters are. Green Lantern could have been this amazing movie. Ryan Reynolds playing Green Lantern should have been awesome, but the script just didn't lend to his strengths.
Dude, it
And
was also choppy. It was so
oh,
choppy.
for
The movie
sure.
itself is not smooth. They crapped on Parallax. Like you said, the script was
Yep.
horrible. Like, how are you going to take the concept of what Jeff Johns did with Rebirth, not any this modern Rebirth, but back in like 2004 when he took
Yeah.
over Green Lantern and brought Hal Jordan back from being the Spectre? That was one of the most epic stories ever written. Like, he defined Green Lantern from that point forward. And he's still that character till today, the way that he kind of, the things that he changed and reinvented. And they take the whole concept of what he created Parallax to be and just turns it into an infected guardian. That's
Yep.
crazy.
And it was
That's
just
subjective opinion, Steve. And one word for you, Watchmen. Next statement.
The other thing, the other DC movie that should have been amazing is Aquaman. I would give it
I thought it
probably a
was.
7 out of 10 on my second watch through. I gave it a 9 out of 10 on my first, but I noticed those little tiny things about it as I was
Like the
watching it a
Annabelle
second
doll.
time.
Did you see
Kind
the
of.
Annabelle doll Easter egged in there and
Yep.
when they were underwater and all the trash under there? It was just hiding right there.
Yep.
I loved it.
I thought it was a phenomenal movie, but I then watched it with my uncle and my dad, and they're just nitpicking the crap out of it. And I'm like, okay, I can kind of see where you're going with this. Okay, I understand why you thought about that. And I don't remember what exactly it was about it that they weren't liking. And it was those little things about it that seemed over the top.
Do you know what I
And
enjoyed about it? Like when I watched it, I got the same feeling watching that I had like, and I'm not comparing it to this, just the feeling I got from it, but to
mm,
watching Indiana Jones movies. Because
yeah,
like you were location changing constantly. There was a lot of humor. There was a lot of action. There
yep,
were amazing locations, amazing visuals. It had like the kind of Atlantis history aspect to it, you know, trying to track down the map and everything. And I thought it was fantastic. Like, I'm a huge classic Aquaman guy. Jason Momoa does not look like Aquaman to me. But then I go back and I look at Peter David's run on Aquaman when he brings him in with the beard and the long hair and the hook hand, and I can
yeah.
definitely see it. And he just played it so well for me.
He did
I don't know.
phenomenal with
He really
Aquaman.
did. Like, he
Same
made
with
soccer moms around the world unite and go to the movie theaters.
yep.
Like, Jason Momoa in a wet T-shirt. Let's go sell some tickets.
Definitely. Same with Wonder Woman. I feel like she was the perfect casting, Gal Gadot, for Wonder Woman. And a lot of people were saying, oh, she doesn't have the body for it. She doesn't have the mentality for it. She's not a great actress. And I'm like, you know what?
She's fantastic.
She's going to nail it. I mean, she nailed it in Fast and Furious.
I've just got done watching Wonder Woman. When I got home from work, it was my wife just had it on. I don't know what it is. My wife, she loves the DC movies, man. She
Yeah.
watches Justice League all the time. I walk in the house, she's just watching the Justice League. I'm like, awesome. I'll watch it. I don't mind it. I enjoyed it. I love Brandon and his return as Kingdom Come Superman on the CW Crisis. That was fantastic, seeing him in there.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have gone with more Kingdom Come aspects in that as well, or at least kept him around. That was one of my biggest blunders with that whole thing. You're going to just insert 2.5 men instead of Kingdom Come Superman for the rest of it. You introduce him and then you swap him out with Luthor. And I hate that guy playing Luthor. Luthor is such an awesome character. He plays it way too whimsical for me. I need that for Christmas. Which one? Which one do you need for Christmas? Speaking of Christmas, everyone needs to go check out John Jang's Ice Cream Man variant that just they teased today, or went on sale today at 12 noon. And I have to agree with this. Aquaman was amazing for me. It was definitely a 9 out of 10 for me easily. I've watched it over and over and over. And I didn't notice it till I watched The Greatest Showman about the third or fourth time, Chris. Black Manta is the guy from the trapeze guy.
Yes.
That's the same dude. He's in there dancing and singing, and then he's trying to kill people. I'm like, this guy's versatile.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought that the best parts about Aquaman was the beginning. Truly, the storyline, the villain, everything about it was phenomenal. And again, I don't remember what my uncle was nitpicking the most because he was a huge Aquaman fan growing up. He loved pretty much all things DC, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. But, it was just, I think being a fan of Aquaman and just comics back in the 70s and 80s, and then seeing what they started to do now, you just kind of get into that grumpy old man mentality, being that 50-year-old guy.
It was probably too much going on. I run a kennel, and the owner of the kennel popped in and was talking to me back when it came out, and I told him he should go take his son to see that because they were talking about going to see a movie, and his kid's 14 at the time. And when they came back, I'm like, what'd y'all think? He's like, it was a lot. It was long. It was just loud. There was just so much going on. I'm like, yeah, it was great, wasn't it? And he's like, it was hard to process. And they don't do superhero movies. You know what I mean? They go see Ford versus Ferrari, which was a fantastic movie, by the way. But that's their tone of movies. And I sent him to go see that $1 billion extravaganza. I'm surprised they didn't have a seizure or something. That would have been bad. Here's a very valid question real quick from Steve. Will Endless Winter be good? You really should describe what good means to you in the context of this sentence, because what Endless Winter is, it's just giving us something for the holiday season, for winter, just so that they can do something. Me personally, I'm a big DC guy. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. I do not have my expectations through the roof. This isn't a mega crossover. This isn't a huge event. I pick up Justice League, period. I read Justice League on any given month. I always get both issues of Justice League. And this is a Justice League story looking back a couple of thousand years. And I think it's absolutely intriguing because you have Black Adam in his prime. You have Swamp Thing, but not Alec Holland. So who's it going to be? And so having the green be present was just such a cool aspect. You have Wonder Woman's mom, Hippolyta, or however you say it. Then you have Viking Prince making the Justice League Viking. So I think just that aspect alone, seeing that collab of characters is going to be fantastic. And there's some really awesome variants they're doing from Daniel Warren Johnson that shows the frost giant, this god that gets awoken, that is bringing this killer, I guess, new ice era, like with his presence is causing an ice era. It just has him knocking Superman out. So for those people out there, I don't know where to find them that might think Superman's overpowered. Maybe this would be a fun read for those people. Maybe, I don't know, because looking at it, he does have his weaknesses. And definitely check out if you are just curious about Superman. And we've talked about this, Chris. Kingdom Come, go-to book. And this current Superman run, I think it's going to be kind of getting to a story arc in. But they introduced this new villain, Sinmar, 3 issues ago, and he's dusted Superman in every aspect of it, like mentally, physically, everything. And he's not some giant towering Goliath or anything. It's really cool. But I'm looking forward to Endless Winter. I don't think it's going to be a game changer. I don't think there's going to be any mega keys or even minor keys in it. I think it's going to be an absolute fun Justice League read, though. And I like how it's just 9 chapters coming out all in 1 month, just tying into present books that are out there with a couple of one-shots to bookend it. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, that should be amazing. I am kind of upset because I don't know how much COVID's kind of affected DC. I know that you were saying it's kind of brought a few books, or not brought a few books, but ended a few books. One of the ones that I'm really upset about is Amazing Spider-Man Daily Bugle. So my buddy who loves all the Valiant's Image, pretty much anything that isn't Marvel, he got into Amazing Spider-Man Daily Bugle #1, and #2 came out. Both of them were phenomenal, and they just announced the cancellation of 3, 4, and 5. They're not going to print them. I hate it. Honestly, it sucks that just because of COVID and printing costs and sales and whatnot, they're just not going to print them. And I'm not a huge fan of reading stuff on a tablet unless it's something like Venom 3, where I'm not paying $500 to read a book. I just refuse to. If it's a grail of mine, sign me up. I'll do it, and I'll get it as a 9.8, and that's fine by me for that 500. But I can't get a reader copy for that much. And
that's where digital comes in.
Exactly. That's when I'll go to a digital book. Covers. But in all honesty, with a book like Amazing Spider-Man Daily Bugle, I wanted to have the print copy. I wanted to read it in print. They're also canceling, and this is one that my wife's really upset about, is Black Cat 13. They're not going to print that one.
Are they going digital only, or they series. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know DC's been trying this new thing with digital first stuff to kind of get a feeler on their readers out.
Yep. And
it's just, one?
It sucks. There's a list of probably about 15, maybe 20 books. A few of them are like Robert Howard's Dark Angus, Curse of Carnage, Scream, Silver Surfer Black Director's Cut, which would have been nice to read. That would have been a cool book. I don't know if you got into Silver Surfer Black.
I'm holding out on Brent just to buy me a copy. Quick story. He told me to read the one of the most amazing books I've ever read in my life, called Murder Falcon from Daniel Warren Johnson.
Okay.
It's just, I think it's just like 8 issues. That's all that it is. Best book you'll ever read, guaranteed. But he kept telling me to read that. I kept telling him the truth. I'll get around to it. That's the truth. Yeah. But he knows how much I read and how busy I am. So he just went and bought me a trade. And I sat down and I was going to read one issue real quick before we went to eat. I read the whole thing. Like, had to dry my face through it. Amazing book. So he keeps telling me to read Silver Surfer Black. I'm like, dude, I'm so excited to read it. I can't wait to read it. I'll get around to it. And he's coming back into town in like 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that he just brings me a copy.
Yeah.
I'm being cheap.
I mean, I want to get the trade because I read, that was one of the ones I read digitally because I didn't get it when it first came out. And because it was Null and Silver Surfer and those two together, it went through the roof immediately in price. So pretty much every raw book that was in good shape was $10, $15. And I'm not paying $100 to read 5 books. Again, I don't want to spend that much money on reader copies. So I read it digitally. They came in at my local comic shop, and my shop owner knew that I was looking for them because he knew that I love Silver Surfer and pretty much everything Venom and symbiotes. And he was like, I got these. The only one I don't have is Silver Surfer Black #2, but I'll keep looking for it. I said, sounds good.
Cover A's?
Sign me up. So I just found cover A for #5. It was hidden away in one of his boxes. I was like, you know what? I'll look for that and see if it's here. And I ended up finding a second print of #1 and then a first print of #5. So I was very happy. I still can't find #2 though. Pretty much anywhere for under $25 because it's just,
I like the psychedelic art style in it, man. It looks
definitely
awesome.
Yeah. And the saddest part about it is no one's really selling them for single issues right now. Everyone's selling them 1 through 5, 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, all I want is #2. But it is what it is.
Dude, Bart said he's got that Alex Ross giant absolute for Kingdom Come. I have he did this oversized book. They were really thin. They were really big for all the different Justice League characters back in the early 2000s. And then I think it was about 2008 or 9. They collected in one of those Ultimate editions that are huge hardbacks. And I got that for Christmas one year. And looking at his artwork in those Ultimate editions is just, is mind blowing. He's just one of the he's easily the greatest artist of modern era. Like you can't compare people to like like Ramita for his time or Kirby for his time. Like
Yeah.
they just set the standard for stuff and then blew stuff out of the water. But Alex Ross's art is I don't know. It's hard to compare him to anyone because it's just so
It's
beautiful.
totally different. It's a totally different art style for comics. One of my
Real quick, I'm
favorites
gonna
right now.
Go ahead.
One of my favorites right now is Ryan Stegman. He's
Mm-hmm.
doing really good stuff
Venom variants, isn't
with
he?
Venom, yeah. And my all-time favorites from pretty much when I was growing up, that 90s era,
There
McFarlane.
you go.
What cover number 2? I think I just completed that run. The Silver Surfer Black cover 2.
You looking for a specific cover for it or just any print?
Any print, really. I would love to have all first prints, but you know, it is what it is at this point. It's one of those ones that just to complete a collection. If at some point I find first print of it, that's great. But anyways, as I was saying, growing up in the 90s with Venom and Spider-Man, Bagley and McFarlane were my 2 favorites of all time. I love having their books. My uncle has every Amazing Spider-Man from 250 to 320, except for 252 and 300. And I was so pissed.
I saw a video when you were talking about that.
I was like, how do you not have these?
You've been robbed.
Yep.
My dad's been collecting since the early 60s, right? And he's got I can't even begin to describe how many comics he has. And for the longest time, he had his collection in 2 separate places because it looks like a comic shop when you walk into his house. It looks like a really, really impressive comic shop. Like he's got more books than the comic shops here in my town do. And then he had books at my mom's house. We had a little house in the back, you know, that's climate control, and he had all of his long boxes out there, everything organized and alphabetized and stuff. And that's the stuff he considered he's willing to let go of. So buddies of his, like that would come to town that would do shows and stuff, would go thumb through it to buy stuff and this and that. And I watched him. This was before the Watchmen movie, but I watched him sell his entire run of Watchmen for cover price. I'm like, Dad, why did you do that? Like New Mutants 98, the first Deadpool cover price. He's like, I'm not taking a loss on it. That's just, you know, they're just not spec people, you know. Those old timers like that because, you know, he, for whatever reason, he doesn't pay cover price for books that he gets. So him selling stuff for cover price, he's not losing anything and he's helping somebody out. But just watching those books kind of spike, it just makes me shake my head. But oh well, those are still
it is what it is.
Drops in the water to the kind of stuff that he actually has, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I had to go back and there's a lot of stuff that I don't buy just knowing that he has like old keys and stuff like that. There's certain ones that I still pick up. Like I'm sure he has that Daredevil 16. It's the first Ramita Senior drawing of Spider-Man. I'm sure he has the Demon, but I love those books myself. I want my own copy to play with and display and stuff. I know he does not have a 181, so I like to. I know Pops, you're watching.
Rub that in his face a little bit.
Yeah. But he'll probably just point out what I paid for it, and he's probably not jealous of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't spend big money on books. He just waits till he finds them for the price.
And I feel like that's just a generational thing. It's one of those things where
he'll find them. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
Like these old people, like remember, like all right, these days we have cell phones. You know, you're around my age, so you remember when we didn't have cell phones. You would call your buddy on a landline and say, "Hey, I'm coming over. Are you going to be home? How do I get there?" And they just give you some horrible directions, but we would find it. You know, these old timers don't need to get on eBay and pay crazy prices. They'll find it. They hunt. They hunt in a way that we're unaware of. It's really cool.
I wish I knew, but they don't want to share their secrets yet. So
I think it's patience. It's just what it is. It's what our generation doesn't have as much of, patience.
Yeah, being a 90s kid, like I said, I grew up on Spider-Man with the 90s animated Spider-Man TV show and Static Shock and whatnot and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. 90s was a phenomenal era for superhero animated shows. And then to grow up and see those animated shows start to become more and more real life was just phenomenal. And I mean, we're in what I would consider the golden age of comics right now, because we're seeing it all hit the silver screen fast and
Yeah,
furious.
our childhood literally grew up with us and became reality.
Yeah.
And that was something cool that I think, because I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, dude. Huge Power Rangers fan. And I have multiple short boxes over here that stay by out here, not even in my collection because I'm constantly out in and out of it and adding stuff to it.
Yeah.
But I grew up, like I was in kindergarten when Spider-Man premiered. Like I
Yep.
remember that Saturday. And then they reran it on Monday. And I was late for school where my mom was a teacher because I refused to walk out of the house. So now that I'm adult and Haim Saban like teams up with Hasbro and like makes the obvious observation that the kids that grew up with Power Rangers still like them. Let's market to
Yep.
them. Now they're marketing to me as an adult.
Yep.
And now my kid loves it. Like my kid has an original Dragon Zord. He's 3.
Yeah.
But because I have mine still, like I have an original one in the box with the original tape and everything, that's like a $300 piece. And he wants to play with it. I felt bad. So I went and got him his own that's out of the box, you know?
There
He
you
just
go.
wanted a Power Ranger birthday. And it's just crazy seeing our childhood literally grow up with us. And
Definitely.
like what Harry Potter is for the people who are into Harry Potter, how they read those books and Harry aged with that
Yep.
generation. That's how comics have been for us. It's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. It was. So one of the things that I've always related it to was Toy Story. So I was born in 92.
Yes.
And so I was actually the same age that Andy was all throughout those stories, because they all came out at the time. So like when Andy was going off to college, that was the summer I was going off to college. It was really cool to watch and see. And like I said, now we're seeing like all of these superheroes and Power Rangers, especially. A lot of people hated on that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie that came out recently. I loved it.
I loved it.
It was phenomenal. It was fan service at its best. And a lot of people don't like a fan service movie, but that's what we needed to get Power Rangers back on the map. They had been killed off so much.
I think it just kind of missed its mark a little bit budget wise. Like I think that
Yes.
they were onto something, and it's hard not to please me with Power Ranger stuff. But I think they missed a little bit on the budget aspect of it and a little bit of the design aspect of it.
Yeah.
And if they would have kind of like crispened up the design, not on the Rangers, but like on the Zords and stuff, and
Yep.
kind of got into it a little bit quicker. Like, and I read before it came out that they're going to try to do like that movie Chronicle, like that slow burn with those kids getting the powers from the meteor. And I
Okay.
enjoyed that. I enjoyed the character development aspect of it. I think that was probably my favorite part of it. But I think that's just where they missed the mark, is those people that weren't as familiar with Power Rangers. They just needed a wider audience that wasn't there at the start of it. But they are rebooting it again.
I think that was one of their biggest issues, was just that they needed a little bit more to it. They needed a little bit more meat, a little bit better of a script. And I was hoping that by the time they came out with it, they would be doing a sequel to it. But I still have not seen anything about a sequel yet.
No, they announced a reboot here last month.
Yeah.
They got I can't remember who the director is, but they were talking about a reboot movie as well as a companion TV show like on Netflix or something. And I don't know if it's supposed to be live action, even might be animated.
Yeah.
But that would be cool.
One of my favorite movies growing up was Power Rangers Turbo. I love that movie.
Oh, wow. Talk about the underdog story of the year.
Yep.
Yeah, I've watched it tons of times, but
and it was
definitely
afraid
of it. Show episode. Yeah, it was a TV show episode just strung out into the feature length thing. What kills me is when their Zord stands up for the first time as an adult when you watch it and you see the transition of the model standing up to a man in a suit, like not smoothly, it just transitions. I'm like, oh no.
I'll have to rewatch it again. I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Physics out the window.
Yeah.
See, me and Brent grew up together, who's the other Legion of Comics member here with me. And we went and saw it in theaters numerous times. We had my mom taking us up to McDonald's to go get those deluxe Happy Meal figures and everything. That was huge. Me and him, he was born in December of '88. I was born in September of '87. So we were about like 5 and 6 when all that was popping off real big. So it was literally just crack for us.
Yeah, I mean, honestly. And then when they came out with Dino Thunder and they brought back Tommy, I was over the moon with that one. I think I was probably about 15, and I was like, I probably shouldn't be watching this right now. It's not for my generation, but you know what? I'm gonna watch it. I loved it.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Real quick, I'm going to burn through some of these other titles I picked up.
Sounds good.
I did pick up that Batman White Knight Presents Harley Quinn. I think this is book number 2. All this Sean Murphy Batman universe stuff is insane. It is fantastic. He has his own self-contained universe.
That's a
Talk
Christmas
about
gift
fan
for my
service.
wife.
Yeah. Detective Comics 1031. Detective Comics has been like the most consistent Batman thing going on, in my opinion. And they got Damian back, and they're addressing that black casebook that Batman has that they teased in Batman 100. Batman Superman number 14. This also, like Justice League, there's not really a lot going on in the bigger DC with it right now, but it's just fun, whimsical stories. The Death Metal book of the week is The Multiverse Who Laughs. At the end of Death Metal issue number 5, you saw where the Batman Who Laughs drew in a bunch of dark multiverse, 52 planets to be exact, where he's bringing in some heat, and it kind of touches on some of those planets. And then a big one of the week for me was the other history of the DC universe. Back in the 80s, they did the history of the DC universe and went through quite literally the history of the DC universe from a narrator standpoint. And this is going back through looking at it from the view of disenfranchised heroes. But where this isn't more of a narration over the big history, it's more of a character study. This issue being Black Lightning's view through about a decade and a half.
That's
and then
awesome.
I did get that awesome local comic shop day exclusive.
Oh,
I think
that's
this
beautiful.
was a 1 in 25. Super cool stuff.
Love
But I
that
highly
one.
recommend any of those. And my read of the week is not DC. It is Image Department of Truth. James Tynion IV, who's been writing Batman, has been writing this. This has been the absolute sleeper hit for me. This, and We Only Find Them When They're Dead. But this was
Love
wicked.
that
This
cover.
issue was it's wicked. This issue specifically delves into a big punch to the gut to Alex Jones and the whole Sandy Hook massacre.
Okay.
And all the truthers around that and all the people that were claiming hoax and crisis actors and all that. They get into that, and you kind of get to see a little bit dark side of the work that the Department of Truth has to do and how they affect the lives of these people that they're trying to help, how there's not a happy scenario that always comes out with it. But highly recommend that. Kid Rono Prince would highly recommend that. He picks up all those amazing variants for that. But yeah. You got any other books you picked up you want to spout off? You got anything, or you want to announce what you have going on your channel this coming up?
Yeah, real quick. So again, we're doing that 250 subscriber giveaway. We're looking ahead to 500 and even 1,000 right now. We'll probably do another one at 750. But honestly, we're just keep following us on Instagram. We're going to be announcing that 250 giveaway, and we want to hit that fast and furious. We want to make sure that you guys like our content and pretty much just keep staying up to date with both Legion and us. We love to talk to you guys. We love to talk comics. If you ever want to message us, let us just message us on Instagram. We love hearing from you. Ask us some questions. We'll do a Q&A with you live on YouTube if that's what you guys want. A lot of people have been asking me, like, where can you find King in Black? Go to your local comic shop. If you don't know which one's local to you, look it up on Google and just find one that you love. I went to probably about 3 or 4 local comic shops before I stuck with Rhinos. And then pretty much whenever I travel, I go look at the local comic shops around there. And honestly, I have not found one anywhere close to the one I have at my in Rochester. I absolutely love it. It's awesome to see the back issues, the older issues, and then also the new issues, and just the way that basically if you go to a local comic shop and you're not greeted in the first 5 seconds, walk right out.
Get out.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a community. If I went to one that I don't believe is even any longer around, I'm pretty sure they closed. And my brother-in-law went before my wife and I were married, just started geeking out hard on Deadpool and everything that was in there. And the comic book shop owner was just such a jerk to us that we walked out and didn't even buy anything. We probably would have spent probably $100 or $200 in there between the 3 of us, if not more. And he basically was just such a jerk to my brother-in-law that we were like, we're not coming back here. And
another
honestly,
big red flag is if you take something to the front and they have to look the price up on eBay. If you don't see price tags, get out.
Yep. That's another one that's around me. Pretty much all of his older issues, he looks up in a book and he goes, "Oh, this looks like it's going for this much right now." And I'm like, that's not how this works. You're getting what you
I could go
want out
buy
of it.
online myself. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not going to sit there and be jerked around about all of this. So go support the local comic shops that support you is basically what I'm trying to say.
The community,
And
yeah. Because normally shops you can find better deals online if you look, but that's not what it's about. You know,
Yep.
that community, that experience of going in a comic shop, that smell of the old books there, just seeing stuff that you wouldn't even know to look up. You know, that's how you find new stuff. But I completely agree with you on that. Well, good news, Chris. Your sub count I'm looking at right now is up to 190, my man.
Sweet. I love it.
Yeah, got a good little bump tonight. That's awesome.
We were stuck for so long at like 150, 160, and I was like, okay, come on, let's keep going. And like I said, I send out little messages to everyone, and that really got us from that 100 to that 150 real quick, and then it just stalled out. And I was like, what is going on here? So thank you for having me, Legion. It's been huge. Definitely awesome to be on here and just talk comics. I'd love to do this weekly or every other week. It would be amazing.
Dude, I have a blast doing it. I've had Justin from Justin Comics on here a couple of times with me. I have a blast talking with him. Do you have beans right there? That's my buddy Corey. He's popped up on here with me a couple of times.
What's up, Corey?
And, you have to get caught up on Mandalorian, and we have to get you and Corey on here together because Corey will Star Wars geek out with me for a long time. And me and Chris, we started to geek out on some Star Wars when we were chatting earlier, and we just need to get a couple of us guys up here and just let go on some Star Wars.
Definitely.
Let's do it. 250 books. Show shop when you give me an offer. I love LCS, but it's getting hard. Yes. My LCS doesn't buy books from individuals. There's one in town that does and one that doesn't. It really just depends on the shop, what they're capable of doing and what they're willing to do. My LCS has 2 employees that work. They both work while it's open. That's just what it is.
Yep.
So that's just outside of their realm of capabilities, and that's just some shops can, some shops can't. You know, at times they can. You know, it depends. But watch it today. Watch it today. He says, watch Mandalorian today. Don't wait. Don't wait on it all to come out. That's something that's worth catching up on.
Definitely. I can't wait to catch up on Mandalorian.
Tomorrow is like day 8 or 9 straight at work for me, and I work like 12-hour days. Holiday times are rough. Whenever people travel, I'm the busiest. So holidays and summertime when kids are out of school and all that. So I appreciate you coming on here so much, man. With Brent working nights, I'm really depending on this awesome community to come hang out with me and keep me entertained. And I really appreciate that you guys are such good friends that y'all are willing to do this. And you were willing to do this last minute, man. We had talked about it a while back, and I've kind of just been busy and just not reaching back out as much. And as soon as I asked you, you're like, yeah, I'll do that. And so, man, I'm eternally grateful, man. I thank you so much for coming on tonight.
And I'm grateful for being on.
Without you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a great night.
You too. And also, oh my God, Mando. I think the last episode could have been a movie by itself. So epic. See, there you go. There it is. All right. Well, everybody, thank y'all all for coming and hanging out. This wraps it up for this week. And keep collecting, keep reading comics. And as always, we are